Welcome to another wonderful week. Here on another interview, another discussion today with Jason Rothberg. Thank you so much for joining us here with our sponsor, Doing Good HQ, where you, the artist, the creator, can also be the philanthropist. I'm so excited to talk about Metaverse, music, the world. And thank you so much. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Aaron. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in Ireland. I can't complain. Got huge things going on with the Sync Report and Zavatar, and yeah, fired up to be here with you today.
Wow. What are you seeing in the metaverse now?
Oh my God, infinite possibilities. At the same time, total clusterfuck. I think there's uh, it's funny because there's such a dichotomy happening right now. There's some amazing things going on, and then I think there's also people just trying to, get out there, get their name and stake their flag, and they're kind of not really thinking out the full aspects of what the metaverse can be. And it's interesting watching the metaverse kind of transform from more of a gaming world to now immersive media, storytelling, animation, obviously the world of avatars, which we're eyeball deep in all of that. Yeah, it's a very exciting time, and I just think it's just going to become bigger and bigger as time goes on and people get more comfortable with exploring the metaverse and how to participate.
I'm really curious here. How do you see the balance in the future with nature and the natural world outside with what's going on in the metaverse? I know that you often feed some wonderfully large animals right outside your door.
Yeah, no, we're blessed where we are in Ireland. We have this forestry behind us. So, being a city boy born and raised in LA, now living in the country and having deer coming every day and this little fox family and our little orphan cat that comes. And yeah, it's just amazing. It's been an eye-opening experience for me. But it is interesting because this younger generation, we always joke around when we see these kids holding their iPads and phones in their hands and just constantly on it, whether they're you know college, high school, and even much younger. It seems that we have lost touch with kind of the reality of life and going out into the real world, where I guess it's safer, more fun. I don't know what the philosophy is for the younger people, but yeah, it is a concern because I think that too much of anything isn't good. Everything needs to have a balance, and that, of course, that is the metaverse. And it can be something that I can see being quite addictive and consuming because there's going to be so much to do. There's going to be so many people dealing with this pandemic that we've all lived in for the last, 2, 3 years. It's probably not going away anytime quick. So even though we see some of our, concerts and events happening again, there is going to be a lot of home time. So this gives a great, a platform to be able to go and be social, to do your shopping, to do some gaming, to do creativity. But there needs to be some kind of balance, and I'm not quite sure how that will. It's not something we would want to mandate. Obviously, this is something that is a personal choice. But I hope younger people would be influenced by their guardians and parents and family members to make the right decisions. Yeah, that's a good question. That's going to be a very difficult thing to govern, and I think to balance.
Yeah, because you're so tied in with the music world and coming from all of these musicians who have been out there in the world, do you see that the world then is going to be that this music is going to be influenced by the metaverse as people spend more and more time within those within that sphere?
Yeah, oh, I think most definitely. It's like any type of, life, imitating life, This is what filmmaking and storytelling has been about notoriously. It's what songwriting is about. So yeah, my background is majority in music. Started off as an event promoter doing charity benefit concerts. Moved into a label executive position at the age of 25. Started managing artists like Joe Strummer and Donovan and the Specials and a list of others. And then simultaneously started getting into music supervising and film and documentary production. So because of those backgrounds, kind of moving into this new platform, which we're calling the Metaverse, has been something exciting and, I think easy for us to kind of build on because we're naturally storytellers, and that's what the Metaverse is missing. There's some incredible visuals, but just like even any video game, the ones that are most successful have a storyline, take you on a trip, take you on a journey. So I think, like even with the NFTs that we're seeing, people are kind of burning out on that simply because, what's a JPEG? It's what beyond that image in your wallet are you getting? And so with our NFTs that are coming from the TV show, they're the NFT itself is animated with a bit of a storyline, with music that we're sourcing from the audience and music that artists that we're connected with. But then there's all these utilities. You can get a Zavatar, you can be part of the TV show, you can explore our metaverse, which we call the Zativerse. Then there's the real life utilities. So 3 times a year, we're organizing these special concerts and events where the cast and crew of the TV show will be at these events, and then artists like the one we're doing for the first round will happen in September with Patty Casey and Stephanie Rainey, but we'll also Colin O'Donoghue, the host of our show, who's an incredible film star, actor, musician. He'll MC, he'll perform. Milfredo Seven from EMF, who's the DJ for the TV show, will be there DJing. There'll be an after party, which will be exclusive to the NFT party buyers. And then the next day, we actually have a private screening at this gorgeous theater at the Stella Theater in Dublin, where we'll screen the first episode of the TV series and then have a private dinner on the rooftop of the Dublin. It's just, a really, incredible package that I don't see these type of things being woven into NFT offerings. And I hope we'll kind of set a new trend in adding layers so that the NFT buyers really feel the impact of their purchase.
I'm curious here as you talk about experiences really that go beyond the screen. How do you see those experiences tied in together? Because even just a music concert and tying it into recording or a CD or vinyl, that's even tying it beyond that physical experience itself. How do you see what is being made with all of this, tying together what is beyond the physical experience? What is, let's say music is not just a physical experience per se. How do you see that media being tied together?
Yeah, actually, I'm so glad you've asked that because that is one of the cool things that we're working on with our Zativerse. So every time a featured guest comes onto the show, right? So what we're talking about now is the Sync Report, which is a TV series we've been developing, a TV series and podcast. The podcast is actually currently available. We've recorded over 40 shows. I think we have 18, 20 podcasts that are out now. They go out every Thursday across, Apple Pod and Spotify and all the streaming platforms. But this fall, you'll actually be able to see the animated show on terrestrial television in North America and UK and Europe. In fact, in the next week or two, we're going to be announcing our network partners. So if you can imagine, it's a animated kind of version of a late night talk show meets a talent search aspect. So we start off interviewing luminaries in the industry, filmmakers, actors, musicians, music producers, label executives, studio heads, talking about their journey and kind of filing that into a film and music dialogue. So all of these, featured artists would have had either their hand in making films or making the music, and seeing those two worlds coming together. So, we've had famous directors and producers and musicians on the shows all. So as they tell us about their journey, because it's animated, we're bringing these things to life. So, for example, we had Steve Vai on. Steve Vai, legendary guitar player, and was not just supplying music for, but actually was in Crossroads of this great film, kind of like set in New Orleans about this guitar player selling his soul to the devil, kind of thing. And so, and then he's done loads of other music for films, and he's talking about recording some of this stuff in his studio. So we've actually animated the studio. You'll be able to pick up like an NFT Steve Vai guitar, which he's actually crafted, I think, 30 different guitars with Ibanez. And then you'll plug into the studio. Somebody else will pick up the bass, plug in the bass. Somebody will get behind drums. Someone will get behind the vocal mic. And all of a sudden, you're making music with a group of people you've never possibly even made. And you'll be able to walk away with a WAV file of that audio. So it's not just something that you're able to create, connect, and do inside the metaverse, but you'll actually walk away with that, musical experience. And then there's other things that we're doing. So like our kind of response to Clubhouse will be, since we're doing these avatars, you'll be able to walk around in these rooms, and whether it's in a corporate structure or you want to be out in the wilderness or in a school room, you'll have the different backgrounds, the different environments that will be immersive if you have the headsets on, but fully functional if you don't. There'll be the whiteboard options so that you guys can, add your ideas, storyboard ideas out. There'll be a big screen so you can show video content, your PDFs. It'll be a much more interactive and productive environment to what these kind of Clubhouse and Club Connect Club, and there's a few of them. Even Twitter's doing it now. But instead of seeing like just someone's circle head, you'll actually see them in their avatar form, which are the Zavatars, which we created originally for video conferencing and things like this. I should actually be using my Zavatar to show you, but what we've created is a real-time reactionary avatar that is NFT embedded. So it's unique to the owner. It's universally native, so you can go into any metaverse, not just ours. You can go into Meta, you can go into, Decentraland, into Luna, into whatever, Sandbox, whatever platform that you're getting into, you can go in as your Zavatar self. And the coolest thing is it's a downloadable app where the entry is free. So everyone can get their first level Zavatar with no buy-in. If you want to upgrade, have higher functionality, better animation, and look a little bit closer to the end user, then there's a level 2 and a level 3, which is a monthly. So, you're not tied in. You can get out anytime. But, it just depends on how slicked out you want your Zavatar to look.
Well, so here's the thing. So you're distancing yourself from the video as an illustration and becoming an illustration yourself.
Right? Are you distancing or are you completely diving in?
This is the question.
Well, it's funny because there is a very successful businessman that I know that was consulting for us early on. And he kept using the word, "You're hiding behind your avatar." And so let me explain why I created that idea in the first place with my partners, was because ordinarily things like this I hate. I don't enjoy being in front of a lens. It makes me, if you know, I get anxieties, I get uncomfortable. I just don't like, I'm not into staring at myself. Even, getting ready in the morning, I don't even really look in the mirror. I got short hair anyways, get out of the shower, put my lotion on, brush my teeth, and I'm done. But because I'm a filmmaker, because I've reached certain heights in the music industry, I'm invited to do webinars and panels that I notoriously turn down. But last summer, I was invited to do one at Cannes that I really didn't feel, I didn't feel comfortable really joining it until I came up with the solution. So, we created it out of really a need for mental health. So, there's a lot of us out there that, for many different reasons. For my female colleagues, they have to do hair, makeup, lighting, set design just to do one of these Zooms. I have a relative who's autistic, and she just hates Zooms because she doesn't want to be in front of the camera. I have another friend who was born with a big mole. And so he's very conscious about so there's a million reasons why you might not want to be on a camera all the time. And so is it hiding, or is it really enabling somebody to join in on these social platforms when we're restricted in going out in real life, when it enables us to do business and communicate globally? Right now you're in Germany, I'm in Ireland. I see some names coming through that probably are from around the world. So the tool is amazing, but we're just making it more palatable for other users that might feel restricted or uncomfortable doing it as we're doing right now. Hey, there's the man himself.
Hey,
Kevin
hey,
Sharpley.
man.
This is the guy I was just talking about, my partner. And yeah, so we were just talking about, why we created the Zavatars, and talked a little bit about the Sync Report, creating the Metaverse. So there, you're caught up.
I heard a lot of it. I just found out how to join.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, continue. I know you were talking about the mental health and the need and why it was birthed. So sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So I mean, that was really the point. And even, we have a big, charity element with everything from the show to the Metaverse, and even our NFTs. We're donating 30% of the revenue generated off and it's just not one, it's a series. So like, we're creating mini metaverses for our featured guests, like I told you about Steve Vai and whatnot. Each artist, each featured guest will also be part of this celebrity series of NFTs. And each one of them will give 30% to charity. We give 20% to the Climate Institute to help offset the carbon imprint. And then the featured guests will pick their personal charity for the other 10%. So for the first NFT, Colin O'Donoghue, who I was talking about earlier, picked So Sad, which is, again, a mental health suicide prevention charity. And
So
those are baked into our smart contracts.
So how do you find that tie between mental health and charities, and also like the tie between music and arts and creativity and giving back to the world?
So, I mean, Kevin can answer this as well as I, but we both came across it differently. I was introduced to the charity world at a very young age because I was lucky enough to be connected to Lenny Kravitz as he was doing Let Love Rule, recording Let Love Rule, and then touring Let Love Rule. And so I was, around and able to learn about, production, concert promotion, and the live aspects of music. And then he was notoriously doing all these, charity events because he was like a real believer and promoter of environmental issues and awareness. But notoriously, the events would go really haywire. The production was weak. The money didn't go where it was supposed to. There's a million things that can go wrong. So we created a company called Environmentally Sound, which organized environmental benefit concerts. With Lenny, we had access to huge name artists. And then I would kind of find the charities that were actually doing the work. And we created a mandate, 70% had to go to a project, 30% could go to overhead. And so that was just kind of, that's just how it was for me. So whether, I was doing the live events, and then when I became a label executive at IRS Records, it was developing benefit compilation albums. So now I'm producing established artists that were part of a benefit album that was benefiting a cause and charity. So for me, it's always been hand in hand. The one thing that I've not connected to before was filmmaking. Although I've been involved with, a half dozen documentaries about different causes and charity aspects at LinkedIn Music and Celebrity. So for me, it's a very natural, organic thing that we're doing. It's in our DNA, and I think I'll let Kevin talk about his background and some of the magical things he's done that kind of borders that fence as well.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
Kevin, when either of you are not talking, just mute your microphone.
How do we do that?
Three of us.
Yeah, how do we
do
do that?
Talking, just mute your microphone.
Where's the
but
mic?
yeah, I'm very curious about this. We talked about you said the 30% for overhead and the 70% for project. Could you talk a little bit more about like how you came up with that and what does that mean? And
Aaron, how do I find the mute?
Oh, it's a little microphone button.
I only see
on the screen.
I only see the camera.
You should be able to see a microphone button. No. There should be like a little button that switches it around. There should be like a little happy face. That's the camera button. But in any case, let's not worry about it too much. But I'm very curious, how did you come up with like the 70-30 part about with like overhead and projects, and what does that mean?
Yeah, so
I think
when
wait, the 70-30, so is that talking about the NFTs, or is that talking about what I mentioned earlier?
Let's talk about what you did before with Lenny.
Right. So basically, when we were deciding what charities to benefit from these concerts and albums, they would approach us with a specific project, whether it was planting trees or helping the homeless or whatever the cause was. They would come with a project, and we would have to see, like, if we donated 100,000 to that charity, then 70,000 would go to the actual project, and then 30% could go for office and salaries. Because look, at the end of the day, somebody has to cover this for the charities. They have to have offices. They have to have a staff. So we felt that the 70-30 was a fair balance because the majority was actually going to the projects.
And how did you find that in implementation and have the checks and balances so that you knew what was happening? Just because in Twitter space that I did just yesterday, people were asking about that in terms of blockchain transparency and seeing where the money actually went when they were tied into smart contracts and those divisions of overhead versus project. And I think this is really informative for other artists.
So I hate to say it, Aaron, it's only as good as the people behind it. If somebody's using a charity to whitewash or greenwash their project, then you're not dealing with people who really care about these causes. So I would be weary of that. And then it takes the ownership of the charity as well as the people organizing the event or the product that they're selling to be responsible. So in our case, we have to chase up the charity. We have to get the reports. We got to make sure that that's all kosher. And then we get to share that with our community. So
Kevin, wait, 1 second. Sorry. Kevin, could you mute I think your microphone. Do you see that? Or can you get on headphones?
Hold on.
Yeah, there's a little bit of background, Kev.
Yeah, you got it? Okay, let's try this. All right, so yeah, so you're talking about the people involved, that it really comes down to the people, right?
Completely. But it's like anything. It's like, any product is only as good as the company behind it, which are people. The government is only as productive as the people running it. Same with charity. It's really, you have good charities and you have ones that aren't so good.
Now, what was your understanding of figuring this out, and how did you navigate this world in your previous life of doing so much in this space?
Well, it was really trial and error. Watching. My mother had a nonprofit called Earth News. My cousin, like I said, Lenny Kravitz, was doing all this work for environmental causes, by way of benefit concerts. So, simply as an observer, I would watch a lot of this happen and see, Lenny Kravitz, emotionally distraught because he felt, and it wasn't like he felt he was being ripped off, but he felt the fans and supporters were being taken advantage of. And, and it's the same with a lot of these artists. They're very passionate about these charity projects they get involved. And if something goes wrong, they're the ones that are get the blame and everybody goes after them. So as we started developing Environmentally Sound, these were some of the pitfalls that we knew we wanted to avoid. So, it was something, as we met with the directors for the charities, we made it very simple. It's like, you could participate as we're outlining or not. There's so many charities that need funding. So we only wanted to work with the ones that would be completely transparent and work within the guidelines of what, what we felt was fair.
It's very interesting. Did you find that other people were able to pick up on that 70-30, or how is that handled?
So I think a lot now, unless it's full on, unless you're dealing with a Jack Johnson, or certain artists that, I remember Jack did a tour, I think it was 2006, and every penny of the profit went to charity. It's not many people can do that. So I think what we're seeing now, and I think what is fair, if it's not a full-on charity project like what Kevin and I are doing, 30% is where it should be. It shouldn't go anywhere under 30%. If it's 10%, then it's the company whitewashing and using it as a tax write-off. If it's 30% of the overall income for a for-profit production, for me, that's amazing. That's beautiful. And if every company in the world was doing that, we would see amazing change, total empowerment to these nonprofits. You'd see the UN finally, not just setting mandates, but achieving them. There'd be amazing success levels if we could do that. If I come out saying this is, the next Live Aid, this is a full-on charity event where the artists are donating their time, the venue's giving the venue, sponsors are coming in, paying for everything. Yeah, you got to see 80-90% of that money going to charity. Of course, you got to pay. Everything needs production. It needs catering. It needs janitors and toilets. It needs PR. You got to cover those expenses, and sometimes you can get them reduced. But no matter what, things in life cost. But if it's a charity project, you want to see 70 to 80%, going to the charities. So, and again, that's my personal scale. There's no rules and regulations in this.
Kevin, would you like to get in on this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the easiest ways to try to qualify whether, the monies would go towards charity is to look at the background of the people that are doing it. I mean, if you look at Jason's background, as he said, he's had a lifetime of working in that world. And so, the track record of the people that are doing it say a lot about whether this is going to go one way or the other way. And this is something that we talked about early on. I mean, this is in the DNA of Jason. It's in my DNA. You can look back on the track record of the projects that I've done. I have 3 documentaries on Haiti, one that's narrated by Danny Glover, that, which was at my expense. Wyclef Jean is in that one. Another one has Josh Brolin and Diane Lane and Paul Haggis and Madeline Stowe. Then another one, if you go back and you look at the track record of projects that I've done, I serve on all these boards for free, for the arts, for, Miami-Dade County, and chair boards. And, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of money and energy that the individual puts into these efforts and these initiatives. And you can look back over the history of the people that are doing these things. And, you could at least feel more secure that they will continue with that track record. Once someone is established, this lifetime of doing things, that means something. 9 times out of 10, people aren't going to go back on that track record of, doing these types of things. So that type of security, at least, helps. You can't ever say 100% that, someone's not going to go and, take 100% of the profit, put it in their pocket, and move forward. But, you could say with more efficacy when you look at the record of what people have done in their past. And look, I can say, and this is something that I actually thought about yesterday, and actually echoes some of what Jason said. I mean, look at all these companies making so much profit, and if you look at their track record of give back, it's really not there. A lot of it is like Band-Aid, lip service. People don't realize, a lot of organizations, companies, people, they give a lot of money back because they have to pay money in taxes. So, they're going to have to use that money anyway. But if you look at the track record of companies that have done it time and time again and have made indelible changes in a way that it's is mirrored within the company's DNA, then something is feeling about right. So,
now that we're talking about charities and we're also kind of talking about the metaverse, I'm curious, what would you? I'm just like imagining here. What would a charity that could exist in the metaverse be like? Because it's kind of this whole like, global, local, acting local is a thing. What does localization of charity look like in the metaverse to each of you?
I'm going to let Kevin answer this. He has a vision that is absolutely brilliant for what we're doing.
So what we're doing with our metaverse is we're doing a living metaverse. So what we're going to do is utilize AI to showcase a vision of what the Earth could look like, given people's buy-in. So an example of that is, you're going to be able to go down into the coral reefs and see the coral reefs the way they really are and the damage that's being done to a lot of the coral reefs. You'll be able to go to the Arctic and see the patterns of glacial melt. You'll be able to see how some of the polar bears have had to change their patterns. And, a lot of them have died off because of climate change. Birds' migratory patterns have changed. And so you'll be able to see that. And what you'll be able to do is donate to organizations like Climate Institute. I don't know if I heard him talk about Climate Institute, but it's the oldest climate outreach organization in the world. So you'll be able to donate to a lot of these organizations. And as money comes in, you will in real time start to see the changes on our Zativerse, in our world. You'll start to see, the coral reefs, for example, starting to get better. You'll start to see, some of the glacial melt being tamped down. You'll start to see some of the patterns starting to change of the birds. And so this is a real-time effect that we are applying to the things that we're doing. These are the real-time effects that you'll be able to see in our Earth, that for us, and it's not just the Climate Institute, we're outreach to a lot of different organizations. But for us, people will be able to see the change because, oftentimes you give this money and you don't know for sure, if that's going to have that type of effect. Another thing that you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see some of the organizations. So you'll be able to go to the regions where they're at, and you'll be able to see whether it's videos or whether we will have been able to construct, this kind of 3D space for them. You'll be able to see a lot of the change that they've been doing firsthand. And then we want to do live events with them and live chats with them. And so, we can go on and on, talking about the entire landscape of what we're doing, but those are just some of the things. And those are some of the things that personally would have liked to have seen. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that have gone through, a lot of these companies and organizations. And, these are the types of changes that, although they do take a little bit of effort, it makes a big difference because when people are giving money, sometimes you can't see the change. You can't see where that money is going to. And so, when you're able to see that, hey, I did this, and I see that this money did go to this person, and I did see the money that did go to this organization, and I can see some of this change, it makes a difference.
It's really about changing the mindset. I mean, it seems somehow, we've gone from being, like proud to do the right thing to now like proud of being, winning at any cost, and that means at your own self-respect, because you're stepping on others and doing things that are not morally, best for, the global community that we're all part of. So I think Kevin's right. You got to do your due diligence. You can't just trust anybody. You like who are these two guys talking at you about charity? Google Kevin, Google myself, see the things that we've done, the projects we've worked on, and, the amount of money that we've raised that has gone to charity, because, we're doing other things to do our living. We're identifying things in our business that we can, say, what, that money should go to charity. I'm doing very well on this side. I have revenue streams here, and there. So allow this to benefit something besides my own personal bank account. And, I guess it, kind of just boils down to greed. Look at Facebook, for example. My God, talk about a greedy organization. Or even Twitter, which I've just gotten onto Twitter, and I got to tell you, for some reason there is don't get me started on Twitter, but there are.
Let's not get you started on Twitter. So I'm curious, as we talk about the metaverse, how do you see metaverses connecting together in the future and connecting with all of these digital assets that people are getting with NFTs? How do you see the NFTs that are currently being made connecting to these future metaverses, and not just your own, but how these metaverses are then going to be connected together in people's lives?
Yeah, so these are all partnerships that you have to make with the other companies. And so, and look, the metaverse, it's as new as anything. No one really knew what metaverse was 6 months ago, for example. And so we've been talking about this much before that. And, it was difficult oftentimes. Now it's a little bit easier because it's out there. By 2024, it'll be an over $800 billion industry. By 2030, it'd be over $3 trillion. There's a reason for it. And so, this type of connection is going to come, and it's going to have to come in some kind of way. I feel that the metaverses will be the networks of the future. And so, just like in any relationships, there's cross-platforming, and so that's going to have to be, on an organization by company, organization by organization basis. But I think Jason mentioned earlier in the conversation that, we're going to be open for other types of avatars and other types of, NFTs and, what have you, to be operable in our space. So we're going to be a pretty decentralized space when it comes to that. Not so sure, how it's going to play out for other portals. I haven't really heard of a lot of cross-platforming as yet, but, it's still a nascent industry. So, we'll see. But
for us and for this, for Zavatar, what's fun that we're doing, and again, like Kevin's leading into, we don't know where Meta is going to go, and Decentraland, and Sandbox, how easy they're going to want people to connect. But we're actually working with content creators, working with the labels and the studios to create metaverse for their IPs. And so what you're going to find within the Zativerse is a chain that is based around the Sync Report and the content that we're creating. But then you'll also see another chain that's the Beach Chronicles, which is, another, cross-platform immersive concept born out of a novel turned graphic novel turned animated film. And then, right now we're talking with, the labels about creating music videos for their new releases. So the videos would be metaverse that's all linked in together. And, the archives of content, whether it's the Everly Brothers or, anything from the 50s on through to today, these things that are sitting in these archives that they don't know what to do with, we can recreate, we can animate, bring it back to life, and then that environment is completely explorable by the audience. So there'll be wonderful ways for you to kind of beam from one metaverse to another, at least within our structure, which is forming strategic partnerships with other big brands.
Now, Jason, I know that you have to run in a moment. Kevin, I don't know if you have to run at this very moment as well. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, I can stick around for a little while. I've been sick. Okay. So I came in, not in support. We're partners. Jason and I are partners. But I came in to make a presence. And I'll probably have to go back to bed after this.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
It's okay.
What a warrior.
It's okay. No, but the other platform was so amazing. I mean, I know you all already talked about mental health, and I did want to mention this actually. That is within the heart and soul of what we're doing. So, a lot of people talk about metaverse and, this, kind of virtual world making a disconnect. But, we call our metaverse, I wouldn't even say our metaverse, but what we're doing the Zativerse, because it's all about connection. So it's not just, the virtual worlds, it's augmented, it's real world experiences. We just had an event over the weekend, for example, but then these become a part of a bigger ecosystem. And then that ecosystem, as Jason said, mental health is a big part of it. So, people will be able to go and get a lot of the mental health needs that they want within our metaverse. It's a whole different thing. You'll be able to see, your therapist in a way that you would not be able to just on a Zoom, for example. You'll be able to showcase things and movements and that you would not be able to do just on a Zoom. But you'll also be able to bring yourself into this kind of comfort space and have this type of connection that barring being able to see someone in person, gives you that kind of closer connection. And so these kinds of experiences we're pushing to create and ensure that these things happen within, again, our Zativerse. Our Zativerse is what we call it, because it's all about connection and connectivity.
As we talk about connection and connectivity, and the people involved, what have you both learned from your times on Clubhouse and other kind of connecting applications, in terms of, I know, Jason, we've connected over the last year and a half or so, on many different mediums that we switch over between Clubhouse to Instagram to emails and WhatsApp and who knows what Twitter Spaces, and bringing in different people here and there. We've connected on so many different clubs, closed and open, and this and that. I'm just curious, how do you both see the metaverse playing into this whole range of how we're connecting in the future and playing an aspect of it? Because in my mind, I don't see these other aspects that we've connected through necessarily going away. Like, there's nothing like a simple phone call, but as an extension, what does that look like as it plays into the other connective mediums in this world?
Again, such a big and great question, Aaron. I kind of feel like everything's going to end up in the metaverse. That will be the touch point, the cornerstone of all of these platforms. And Clubhouse, we're even in talks with Clubhouse about moving that platform into the Zativerse so they can have this more immersive experience that we were talking about earlier. So I think that, we're going to see a lot of that migrate, obviously with Meta, that would probably, the Facebook experience is, going to be 10 times what it is now, maybe even more, especially for those that love to use Reels and be content creators and, basically be able to create their own metaverses within that metaverse. So yeah, if you want to talk future, you need to talk to Kevin. He's the guy that sees the things coming. I just kind of listen to Kev's advice and try to manipulate that for what best serves us at the moment. So my metaphor is, I'm watching our feet take step by step, and he's watching, the stars leading us down the path. So I'll let Kevin, if he can, I know he's not feeling good, but let him keep talking.
No, it's all good. I was going to say, I really loved your form from Twitter, so I definitely wasn't going to miss this. So what people are going to find is that the metaverse, I mentioned network, so they'll be like the networks of the future, but really they're going to be able to encapsulate all of those things that you mentioned and more, because, you'll be able to go to the metaverse. People who love gaming, they'll be able to do their gaming in that particular space. People who want to congregate, they'll be able to congregate in that same space. I'll go back to connection. I connected with you on Twitter. If there was no Twitter, maybe we would not have. I don't even know where you are right now, to be honest. But but I know that Jason is in Ireland, and so a phone call is a phone call. But to be honest, I prefer to have at least see something physical. That there's a difference between just talking to someone on the phone and seeing something physical. And what the metaverse will allow for is like full body, full range of movement. But Jason mentioned, being able to create your space or inhabit a space that, you like. And I was part of a summit that we're part of, like this accelerator program for this artificial intelligence company. So I was speaking on a panel for their summit, and I relate this all the time, which is, my wife and I, we went to the Louvre before the first shutdown was like 3 years ago or so, and we had 4 hours, and we barely saw. I mean, we saw as much as we could, but the Louvre, you have to be there for a few days probably to try to see as much. And just imagine being able to go to the Louvre if we would have been able to do it virtually before we actually got there. We would have already known exactly where we wanted to go, but just imagine being able to congregate with someone, in the Arc de Triomphe, or being able to congregate with someone. Hell, it could be your own house, but in a space that's like this, kind of common space. I mean, that's going to be really, really incredible. It's going to open up a whole new world for a lot of people. Now, I say the Zativerse, that we'll be able to connect in physical spaces too, because we'll have events and these kinds of things. But one of our partners is not on here today. He's, not the most, you talk about him and, Jason and I, maybe not wanting to be in front of the camera, it's really not his forte, but he lives in Switzerland. So just imagine, at any given point, Jason, Gianfranco, who's our other partner, and I, being able to connect in that same space. We had a meeting with Warner, for example. And so we wanted to do something really cool, something that perhaps they had not done before. So we brought the executives from Warner into our space station, and then we took them outside, outside of space, and then we came back in, we continued the meeting. I mean, that's really cool, to be able to do these multiple layers of things. And so that's really what I see the metaverse as being in the future is, this place where you can do so many different things. It's not going to be a replacement for live experiences, but it will allow for people to connect in a way that they perhaps would not have been able to. I mean, Clubhouse, yes, we can hear each other, but can we see, what's going on? Can we look around? Can we, have that kind of, experience? Not really. It's great to at least be able to connect. Same thing with, Twitter and how that activation works. Connect is like, these little circles that kind of move around. But man, wasn't it cool to bring the people from Warner into our space station?
Yeah,
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
That was amazing. And that's just the beginning. And I'm so sorry, Aaron and Kev. I got to jump. Kev, you're supposed to be on the Zoom too. I don't know if you're going to make it, but with Paula G.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on. Yeah, I'm going to jump on. But I just need a couple of minutes, man, to I need to take a tea.
Okay. And so, Aaron, this has been such a great time. Anytime you want to do this, we should, I should have pumped it out on our socials so we had a little bit bigger turnout. But yeah, what a great conversation as always, Aaron.
We'll put it out there afterwards. This is all recorded, so anyone can listen back through and through, time and time again. That's the beautiful thing.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah, you're
Aaron,
doing
you're
great
part of the
work,
family,
Aaron.
man.
Any last words from either of you? Any words from your heart that you'd like to see in the world?
Yeah, you're part of the family. I can only do this because I'm holding the phone, but this is half of a heart. And I want to send that to you and everyone that's listening. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I can't complete, but you got it.
Yeah, no, lots of love to you, Aaron. It's so nice. I'm glad you're part of our, little network that we're growing. And, happy almost birthday. It'll be almost a year that I know you. And yeah, you're just doing great work. Like I said, continue to host these things and give these entrepreneurs a platform to speak about, NFTs and the metaverse and charity and mental health and everything you're doing. It's incredible.
Thanks so much. And I just want to say, where can we all find you on Instagram, Twitter, all the places? We need you to guys spell out your handles for us here. What are your
Yeah,
handles?
yeah. So the Sync Report show, the SYNC report show. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and then if you want to know more about the avatars and the Zativerse, then you would go to Zavatar Ltd. Xavatar. So it's Zavatar with an X, like Xerox.
Perfect. And do either of you want to spell out your handles if we want to find you guys particularly?
What is it? I don't even know what mine
You
is.
can find me. Yeah, you can find me here because my handle is on here.
Well, it's not on
Which
here if it's when it's recorded, so you got to spell it out.
oh right, Kijik Multimedia, and you can find that across platforms.
Perfect. And Jason?
Yeah, I'm just Jason P. Rothberg, Rothberg. So yeah, anybody that follows, we normally follow right back, and would love to have you part of our little community as well. Thank you,
Perfect.
Aaron.
Thank you both so much.
All right.
You've got to press the X button, and I'll catch y'all next time, and I'll do a little wrap
Okay,
up
guys.
here.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aaron Jack, and I'm here with you every week, here with Doing Good HQ, where you, the creator, the artist, the mover, the shaker in the world, can also be the philanthropist. Every single sale, a percentage goes to a charity or nonprofit. Today was amazing with Jason and Kevin, who have this amazing new project with the Zativerse and diving in between music and the metaverse. And I think today we really looked at where things are going, you know, with music and the metaverse, and how are we going to move through that? How do we find the three-dimensional metaverse is perhaps an additional way to connect with each other, beyond the screen, beyond just another form of connection, and understanding that's another way to see our environment with each other, to connect across environments and connect together in the same environment and have just another form of connection together. And I think from that we can learn a lot. We can start to understand ourselves as humans more. How do we connect? What do we want out of an environment? What do we want out of a shared listening music experience? What do we want to connect about with each other and pushes us forward into the future that we want to see in the world? And hopefully for some of you out there, it helps you to imagine what you can build in the world and the future that you want to see. Again, I'm Aaron Jack, here every week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.